Hi, everybody. I'm Lori Palau. And if you are a professional organizer or aspiring professional organizer and you're looking for some business tips, you are in the right place. Before we get started on today's little mini episode, I just wanted to say if you haven't already grabbed your copy of our new business checklist, we're going to drop the link below. Make sure that you grab that. It just gives several key areas that you want to make sure that you are on track either to already have with your business, or if you are missing a few, just know that these are some key components, things like business insurance and securing your domain and all of these other little nuances that sometimes people overlook when they're starting their business. With professional organizing, it's so easy to just hang up your shingle and get started, which is one of the things that we love. But we oftentimes forget that we are running an actual business. And with that, there are like best practices that you want to put into play. And so grab that new business checklist if you haven't already. So the topic that I wanted to talk about today was, should you charge for consults? Now, this is something that's been like a hot button for quite some time. And I have done all the different things. And just like so many of the different topics that we talk about, I'm coming to you from a place of experience of what I've done in my business. And I could tell you, I've done it all. I have done free consultations. I have done consultations where they pay. And then if they book, that fee gets applied to the cost of to the proposal. And I've also just straight up charged for consultations. And I'm going to tell you that there's not one right answer. I think you have to look at several different factors. And I just want to talk through them and give you some context as to what would make sense for you and why I do what I do. So when I was first starting out, I did free consultations, and I'm a big fan of consultations in general. Let me just start by saying that I think it's really important for you to get a visual of the space and the people that you're going to be working with before you commit to taking on a project. That is my personal preference. I tell the story about one time when I was first starting out, I had a phone conversation with somebody. These are way before Zoom. And I had just a phone conversation. I qualified the person on the phone, talked a little bit about the scope of their project. And when I showed up at the door, they booked me for a one session because I bill by the session, which are one day. And when I showed up at the door, they were a true hoarder. And I had walked in and my eyes almost bugged out of my head because I was not expecting that. And when they talked on the phone, they never alluded to the fact. I had done some due diligence. The person was a professional. I checked them up on LinkedIn, and they had hired me to come work in their home office. And when I walked in, it was literally floor to almost ceiling, newspapers, magazines, cats, like just nothing that I'd ever experienced in my life. And I didn't know what to do. I was young in my business, and I froze and went in and did the best I could, but I was very uncomfortable in the spot, in the place. And if I had done a consultation at the beginning and I spent the time to go out there and see their space, or even nowadays, if it is somebody that's far with FaceTime and Zoom, if you could get a visual, I would have seen and I would have been able to identify right then and there that this was not a good fit for me. And so I think it's really important for anybody to get a visual in person, if you can, if not over Zoom, view of what they're really walking into before you commit to a job. So I think that having a consultation is so important. I know not everybody does it. That is just my 2 cents. That being said, you can decide if you want to do a free consultation. The reason why I changed from free consultations to paid consultations was simply this. I was spending a lot of time not only traveling to do the consultation, but being very thorough on site, really talking to the homeowners, not just about the space in question. Like, let's say they hired me to come and do their kitchen, but I would ask them to give me a tour because I believe that looking at a holistic view of somebody's home is very important and telling because oftentimes, just like you would with if you have a headache and you tell the doctor, you want to have a full physical because you want to see what's really the symptom and what's really the problem. And I would spend upwards of 1 to 2 hours on site with a client, being very thorough, looking at their spaces, and then coming back and coming up with an action plan. And I would give them a lot of direction, a lot of detail, just because that's who I am. And I wanted them to be able to have a visual of what they would expect from me working with them. What kind of goals can they expect to and results can they expect to see? And so I wanted to give them as much information as possible. And what that did was oftentimes give away some of my intellectual property because I would give away ideas and suggestions, but I was happy to do that. And then they would come back and sometimes people would say, "Oh, this is out of our budget." And whether they went and price checked it against somebody else or they just decided to do it on their own, it basically, I was spending a lot of time with people picking my brain, air quote, and me not getting anything back from it. And so I had a couple of choices at that point. I could either give less information, but that was really counterintuitive to me because I know for me on the receiving end, if I bring somebody in to help out with a project in my own home, whether it's a renovation project, a landscaping project, whatever, I want to have a collaborative conversation with that person that's going to be doing it because it's helping to build that know, like, and trust factor, especially if it's a new client. You want to really start to let them to feel comfortable that you're the right person and that you're on the same page of what the goals and, what you're trying to achieve. And so for me, just sitting there not giving and withholding that information just seemed counterintuitive. And so I didn't want to not share my thoughts with people. But in the same token, I also knew that I was investing a lot of my own time and energy to deliver this information and not getting anything in return. And so then I moved to the second model, which was I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, but I'm going to charge a flat fee. And it could be whatever. I think at the time I was charging like $100. And I would say, if you decide to book with me and hire me to do this job, then I will apply that $100 to your project. And I felt that was a nice, logical next step. And it was fair because it showed the people that took me up on that, recognized my time and what I was putting into this. And they were willing to invest in it. And if they weren't willing to invest but again, it wasn't a huge amount. It was like $100, but it was enough that if someone said, "You know what, I'm not going to move forward," or "Thank you so much for these ideas, I'm just going to take it and run with it," I at least had some sort of compensation for that. And I did that for a while. And I think it worked really well. And it also weaned out, again, like I said, it weaned out kind of those looky-loos, that people that just wanted to get free information from me and weren't willing to value my time and expertise. So I think that was really helpful for me. But then I realized that I was still giving a lot of information, and I'm always trying to think of ways that I can continue to bring value and monetize my business. And so then I came up with this other model because of the way that I personally approach consultations, which is giving this what I call an organizing diagnostic, right? And I think of that as like a physical where I do that top to bottom assessment because I really do want to see how your family or how you live in your entirety, because I want to see, do we have a chronic clutter issue throughout all the rooms in your home, or is it just siloed to this one area? And so my question then became, okay, how can I bring value to other people by giving all this information and making this a paid offering? And so I created this roadmap, which I call the organizing diagnostic, where I don't only give an overview of each of the space, but I actually give them like a written follow up. So I take notes during the consultation, and then I come back and I include links and images and product recommendations, and it's like comprehensive digital document that I provide to them. And it gives them the option of using that as a step one, or they can hire me and I can do it, but they are paying a flat fee for this piece. And you can charge whatever you want. I think I charge now it's $375 for it. And they get that. And sometimes people take that and they say, this has been great. It's given me ideas. It's given me suggestions. And now I can go ahead and just execute this on my own. Or they might say, I would like your help with it, or I would like your help with part of it. And then we can discuss next steps. So it is a good bridge for that client that might have a lot of stuff, not sure where to begin, but it allows you to create that as a stepping stone to bigger offerings. So again, I think you need to look at, in a nutshell, if you are doing your consults for free, if that's working for you and your conversion is up, then it's great. If your model isn't broken, don't fix it. But if you find that you're going on consultations, they are not converting, then it might behoove you to look at how you're delivering your consultations, right? What changes can you make to make it more enticing for people, get your conversion rate up, or use your consultations as your first service offering. So hopefully that's been helpful for you guys. Again, we have a bunch of different business mentoring options, one-on-one, group coaching, as well as some free resources. So first thing is, if you're not already subscribed, click the subscribe button. We're dropping new videos weekly, and grab that new business checklist. And if you have any other questions, let me know. You can hit me up at info@simplybeorganized. That's the letter B.com. And we will talk to you soon. All right. Thanks.